In the heart of a vast and ominous forest, where the shadows seemed to stretch endlessly and the trees whispered ancient secrets, there lived a boy. He was known by no name, for he had been abandoned and forgotten by the world. With unkempt hair and tattered clothes, the boy roamed the forest, scavenging for morsels of food and sheltering beneath the twisted roots of an enormous tree. The boy's past was shrouded in mystery. He had no recollection of his parents or where he came from. His earliest memories were of the airy forest, where he had learned to survive against all odds. The other creatures of the woods were wary of him, sensing a sorrowful aura surrounding the boy, as if he carried a burden too heavy for someone so young. In the darkest hours of the night, when the moon's pale light struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, the boy often heard whispers carried by the wind. Some said it was the forest spirits lamenting his presence, while others claimed it was the voice of the witch that lived deep within the woods. The witch was an enigmatic and malevolent figure, feared by both man and beast. Her abode was a crumbling tower hidden away from prying eyes, where she conducted dark rituals and brewed potions that brought misery to those who crossed her path. Her intentions were veiled in darkness, and she had a particular interest in the homeless boy, as if she saw something in him that no one else could fathom. Despite the eerie legends that surrounded the witch, the boy had never encountered her. He avoided the depths of the forest where her tower supposedly stood, preferring to remain on the fringes, where he felt a semblance of safety in the familiar shadows. As the boy struggled to survive day after day, the forest seemed to become more suffocating, its once comforting embrace now filled with a sinister undercurrent. Unbeknownst to the boy, fate was about to weave their paths together in a chilling dance of destiny. Hunger gnawed at the boy's stomach like a ravenous beast, driving him deeper into the heart of the forest in search of sustenance. His daily foraging had yielded nothing more than a few meager berries and a handful of nuts, leaving him weaker and more desperate with each passing day. Driven by the persistent ache in his belly, the boy followed a faint trail of animal tracks, hoping they would lead him to a hidden cache of food. As he ventured further into the dense foliage, the air grew colder, and an unsettling silence enveloped the forest. The cawing of crows ceased, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath, as if warning the boy of impending danger. Soon, the towering shadow of the witch's decrepit tower loomed before him, its form hauntingly elegant yet undeniably foreboding. The boy hesitated, sensing an invisible barrier around the structure, a boundary that dared him to cross. With no other option but to risk everything for the possibility of food, the boy took a deep breath and crossed the threshold into the witch's territory. Every step felt heavy, as if the very ground was reluctant to bear witness to his trespass. The closer he approached the tower, the more pronounced the unease in his heart became. He could feel unseen eyes watching his every move, and a chill ran down his spine. But the gnawing hunger pushed him forward, blurring his fear with the allure of a potential meal. At the tower's entrance, a heavy, iron-bound wooden door beckoned him, creaking eerily in the wind. Hesitant but determined, the boy pushed the door open, revealing a dimly lit interior filled with an unsettling scent of ancient books and strange herbs. As he stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind him with a resounding thud. Panic surged within him, and he turned to escape, but the door refused to budge. It was as if the tower itself had ensnared him in its web of shadows. A voice, raspy and filled with malice, echoed from the darkness. a hungry boy seeking solace in my domain. How quaint. The boy froze, his heart pounding like a trapped bird. The witch emerged from the shadows, her eyes glinting like shards of obsidian. Her bony fingers curled around a twisted staff, and her presence exuded a malevolence that was almost palpable. "I have no coin to offer, no riches to steal," the boy stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. "I only seek food to survive another day." A wicked grin curled upon the witch's lips. "Ah, the simplicity of your desires. I can grant you food, boy, but not without a price." The boy's eyes widened with trepidation. He had heard tales of such bargains, where the cost far outweighed the reward. "Speak your price," he finally managed to say, a tremor in his voice. The witch's grin widened. "In exchange for your sustenance, you will return to this tower on the darkest night of each month. You will bring me an object that holds sentimental value, something cherished by another. Fail to do so, and the consequences will be dire." Fear and hunger waged a battle within the boy's heart, but in the end, the ache in his belly prevailed. He nodded reluctantly, sealing his fate in an ominous pact with the witch, unaware of the darkness that awaited him on those fateful nights to come. As the moon ascended in the night sky, casting an eerie glow over the dark forest, the boy found himself standing once again before the witch's ominous tower. His heart pounded in his chest, a mixture of dread and compulsion urging him to fulfill the sinister bargain he had struck. In his trembling hands, he clutched a small, delicate necklace, the only possession he had managed to salvage from a long-forgotten past. It had once belonged to his mother, or so he had been told by a kind old woman he met briefly in his early years of wandering the forest. With each step he took towards the tower, the necklace grew heavier, as if it were laden with memories and emotions he had long buried. He reached the door, his hand hesitating before finally pushing it open, the same haunting creak echoing through the tower. The witch's lair appeared just as before, bathed in dim candlelight and filled with the scent of ancient tomes and peculiar herbs. She awaited him, perched on a worn-out velvet chair, her eyes gleaming with wicked delight. "Ah, you've returned," the witch purred. "Show me what trinket you've brought this time." The boy extended his hand, presenting the necklace with a mixture of reluctance and sorrow. The witch's eyes widened slightly as she observed the delicate piece of jewelry, her thin lips curling into a sinister smile. "Ah, this holds sentimental value indeed," she sneered. "A relic of a past life, a connection you cling to desperately." "What will you do with it?" the boy asked, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. "That, my dear boy, is not your concern," she replied, taking the necklace away in the folds of her dark cloak. "Your part is done for tonight, but remember, the shadows always hunger for more." As the boy left the tower, a sense of dread lingered in his soul. He knew that he had become entangled in a web of malevolence from which there was no easy escape. With each passing night, the witch's demands would grow more insidious, and his own innocence would fade like the waning moon. Despite the fear that now held him captive, he couldn't help but wonder about the witch's true intentions. Why did she require such sentimental objects, and what nefarious purpose did she have for them? Her malevolence seemed to extend beyond mere cruelty. There was something deeper, a dark plan that remained obscured from the boy's understanding. As the days turned into months, the boy's heart grew heavier with each visit to the witch's tower. He witnessed the sorrow and suffering that accompanied his own acts, as the sentimental items he gathered left behind a trail of grief in the lives of their owners. He yearned for an escape, to break the wicked pact and be free of the witch's grasp. But in the heart of the dark forest, where hope was a flickering flame, he saw no path to liberation. The witch's tower loomed like a haunting specter, and the boy's innocence waned further with every exchange. Unbeknownst to him, the forest itself was watching, sensing the boy's torment, and the spirits within yearned for the day when the shadows would be vanquished and the boy's stolen light would be restored. As the moon reached its darkest phase, the boy's heart swelled with determination. He could no longer bear the weight of his malevolent deeds and the pain he had caused others. With trembling hands, he clutched the last stolen trinket he had gathered for the witch. With a final sliver of hope burning in his eyes, he faced the witch in her tower, his voice steady despite the fear that gripped him. "I won't do this anymore. I can't hurt people just for my own survival." The witch's laughter rang through the chamber, cold and heartless. "You think you have a choice. You are bound to me, and you will do as I command." But the boy refused to surrender to her darkness any longer. As she reached for the trinket, he flung it away, watching it shatter against the stone floor. "I will break free from your grasp. I'd rather die than be your puppet." Enraged, the witch's eyes glowed with an otherworldly intensity, and she raised her staff, preparing to cast a malevolent spell. But as she chanted the incantation, something unexpected happened. The spirits of the forest, sensing the boy's desperation and courage, rallied together. With a force unseen, they surged towards the witch, their ethereal forms intertwining and colliding. The air crackled with energy, and the tower trembled with the strength of the spirit's fury. The boy's heart soared with hope as he witnessed the spirit's defiance. For a moment, it seemed as though he might prevail against the evil witch. But darkness is a formidable foe, and the witch's power was too great. With a vicious strike of her staff, she banished the spirits back into the shadows, leaving the boy defenseless and broken. She smirked, her victory assured. "You are mine forever, little wretch." As the witch's malevolent magic enveloped him, the boy's world faded into an eternal night. His spirit became forever entwined with the shadows of the forest, a lost soul caught in the grasp of a wicked witch. From that day forward, the forest grew even darker, shrouded in an aura of sorrow and despair. The creatures within sensed the boy's pain, and their hearts wept for him. But the witch was not done with her cruel games. She reveled in the boy's eternal torment, extracting what little innocence remained until there was nothing left but a hollow shell. The forgotten child became a cautionary tale, whispered among the creatures of the woods. A tragic figure forever trapped in the clutches of an evil witch, his fate serving as a reminder of the unforgiving darkness that lurked within the human heart. And so, the story of the homeless boy and the malevolent witch became etched in the annals of the haunted forest, a chilling legend to be passed down through generations, a reminder of the price one pays for dancing with shadows.